Welcome to the Monday Monologue. Well, I was going to start off this week's video with a review of my experience dealing with Crutchfield. And one of the things that's become a reality for most of us is there's no hi-fi stores where we live anymore. And like there is one here, and honestly, I need to go. It's Hi-Fi Buys in Buckhead that actually sells hi-fi, audiophile kind of gear. But I think it's like really high-end stuff. But anyway, I need to go by there and see it. But even then, when they have a listening room, that's not your room. And what sounds good at the store may or may not sound good when you get it home. And their source is going to be different. They're going to be using a different amplifier than you've got. And unless I could take like my tube amp and my turntable and phono stage and everything down there, I'm not going to be driving them with the same thing, and it's not going to be in my room. So you really need to audition stuff at your house. And having said that, you need to be working with a retailer that you can trust, that they understand the situation too, that what might work great for somebody else isn't going to sound good for you, isn't going to fit your listening space, and it needs to be pretty seamless on returning something. And obviously, you need to take care of the product. Don't beat it up, and don't expect to take it back all scratched up or whatever because you were careless with it. You have to realize when you're demoing something that you need to keep it in nice condition, because if you don't like it, then they can resell it to somebody else. And I don't have any problem with buying a product that's open box, especially if it's been checked out by the retailer and they say, yeah, that's just like a new one. And so there's all of that. And I guess people do expect to get a lower price, and there's probably some loss there with a retailer that they have to absorb, that people are going to want a discount on something that's been opened up and used for a couple of hours. To me, I'd rather have some speakers that have been used for a week, then I don't have to burn them in, and I know when they plug them in, they're going to probably sound like they're going to from then on. But I digress. Let's talk about Crutchfield. So one of the reasons I bought those JBL L82 Classic Mark IIs, that's a mouthful, they were said to not be great with tube amps, which, looking at their specs, didn't make sense to me. They got rave reviews from all these YouTube influencer type folks, and yeah, I just thought, hey, here's something that's going to be different than my clip speakers. It's got a dome tweeter instead of a horn. It's got a much bigger woofer. It's a bigger speaker. How's a big speaker going to work in my room? I'd never tried that before, and they just didn't work at all for me. I hated them from when I plugged them in. I burned them in for 50 hours hoping that they would transform into something magic. And honestly, they didn't sound much different. It's after 50 hours of pretty serious break-in, using all kinds of test tones and stuff to accelerate that process. And I know there's some folks out there that'll say, oh, you need to give them 200 hours or 500 hours or something. It's like, that's not realistic. Nobody's going to be able to put 500 hours on a pair of speakers before the return window's closed. And so, anyway, let's talk about Crutchfield. They have this big thing that says, try it if you like it. If you don't, send it back. 60 days. Sometimes you need a little extra time. And, it's a real friendly looking thing. And I'm going to bash shit audio that they have the same kind of thing. They got this free trial period. Well, it's not free. You go look at the fine print, and on some of their items, they have a 20% restocking fee on them. That's not a free trial. And to me, it's disingenuous to have big print, free trial for 30 days, and then at the bottom, in some little fine print, that's this big, it says 20% restocking fee on all returned items. It's like, So anyway, they're not all equal. So be careful when you're going to these audio sites and you see things and it says free trial period. Make sure you read the details, or you may end up paying out of pocket for trying it. So anyway, realized that I didn't like these speakers, and obviously I was careful unboxing them and kept all the packing materials and everything. So I got them all boxed back up like they were and taped them all up and everything. Put them in they had put the original big box inside of another box. And of course, UPS driver decided to kick a dent in the side of the box, which that's pretty typical of UPS in my opinion. You got to box stuff up real good when you ship UPS. But so I was a little concerned that because the box had a dent in it, that wouldn't be considered like as new, and I wasn't sure. I was a little apprehensive about how this process was going to go, and so got it all boxed up, sent them an email. Almost instantly I get back yeah, you're approved, here's the return shipping label. And I was honest. It had a checklist, was it defective, was it this, did you, it's like, no, I just didn't like it. I checked that box. And in the email, it said, initially, I got two emails. The first one said, well, since the item wasn't defective, we are going to ask that you pay the return shipping. And I first thought, man, these things are big and heavy. It's probably going to be $100 shipping. And it's like, you know what, though? That's not unfair. Because I do the same thing with my stuff, and I'll get into that in a minute. Well, they sent me the bill, and the return shipping was $15 or $13. It's like, wow. They must have some killer deal with UPS on return shipping or whatever. And so, and they probably have such big volume and all that. So that was inconsequential that I was going to pay $13 to get them shipped back. So like I said, they sent a label. I was able to print it up, cut it out, put it on the box. Somehow got that giant box in my little Honda Civic. Got it up to the UPS store. They took it no problem. And you don't have to take it like to a distribution hub. You can just take it to any of those little neighborhood UPS stores, which made it nice. Even though it's a big box, they were fine with doing that. And a few days later, I get an email back, and it's like, yep, here's your full refund. And the really nice thing was I realized that after I had shipped the big box, I had forgot to put the quick start guide little pamphlet in the box. And I'd never taken it out of its little sealed deal because I'd looked at the online one. And so I emailed them back and said, hey, I forgot to put the quick start guide in. And they did ask me to pay the shipping to mail that back, which was $4, I think, or $5, something. At the post office, and put it in a little padded envelope and stuff, and sent that back separate. But they didn't ding me for not including that in the main shipment, which they could have. And it did say if all the stuff isn't there as you received it, you may pay a 10% restocking fee. But she was nice enough to believe me that I had mailed that back, and they didn't ding me for that. So I got my full refund, 100%, minus the $13, which is obviously nothing. So I got the $3,100 back. And so kudos to Crutchfield on their trial policy. Y'all are just, that was fantastic. I would have no hesitation buying something from them that I wasn't 100% sure about in being able to return it. And there may be a slightly cheaper place to buy some of this stuff if you really go, budget hunting. But that service is worth it. And that's what I tell people about buying like a Wilsonton R8 or a Rysong 850 or any of those kind of made in China tube amps. Buy them from Amazon. Because if you buy them from China Hi-Fi, first of all, the initial price that they have fakes you out because it looks like it's crazy cheap. But then when you get it in the shopping cart and you're ready to pay, it's like, oh yeah, there's $375 shipping. Okay, what that's telling you is if you need to return it, you're going to be paying $375 to return ship it. And from my experience, the shipping from China to the U.S. is about half of what the shipping from the U.S. to China is. When I've tried to return stuff to China, I was trying to return like a pair of tubes, and the shipping was like $110. And so when you buy it direct from China or from some exporter from, that area of the world, you're basically stuck with it. And so that's something to consider when you're buying stuff, is the return policy, and also, like, if you do need to return it, what's it going to take to get it back to them? So finally, I was going to talk about like what I do with my stuff, and I give customers 30-day, no questions asked. Not gonna, if you have an issue, I'll try to help you work through it. But if you don't want to work through it, you just don't like it, or you don't think it meets your expectations, or you just don't like the way it looks, or you think it smells bad, or something. It's not a smoking household, but I'm just kidding. But, whatever reason, if your dog doesn't like it, you just send me an email. You pay the shipping, return, just like Crutchfield did. And unfortunately, I can't do shipping that cheap on a big item like that. But the return shipping on these little preamps and even my EL34 amps is probably $25 at the most. And so you've got the box and all the shipping stuff. Just, don't beat it up. Don't plug it into 220 volts or something and just fry the guts of it. And when I get it back, if it's in, like, this was one somebody sent back to me that it didn't work for them, and I gave them their money back. So 100%. And I think that's the way this needs to work in today's world, that you really got to hear this stuff for yourself. And I've only had one of these returned, and the issue he had was he's got a ton of electromagnetic interference in his house. Is the only thing I can figure out. And he did say he lives near like a high tension, power line, those big monster power lines, and there's a cell phone tower near his house. And so he's got all that going against him. And he said he had another phono stage that was doing the same thing, and it was making all kinds of weird noises. And I was like, whoa. And obviously got it back to my house, plugged it in, it sounds perfect. So, and I don't even know how I could test to see how to fix that unless I hook up my system in his house and bring all my diagnostic stuff there, set my stuff up underneath some power lines. And hey, if I had a house with that much EMI in it, I'd probably be looking for a different place to live. Anyway, so yeah, that's what we're dealing with in today's market with hi-fi gear. Is you're probably just going to have to buy stuff and trust whoever you're buying it from that they'll accept a return, and then you can listen to it in your house and see if it works for you. So anyway, that's kind of the gist of what I wanted to talk about in today's video. For the music selection this week, got something very different. Had a viewer send me this, and they said they use this music for testing audio gear just because it's got such a wide range of tones and sounds and stuff. Calia Scintilla, I think that's how you pronounce it. Illusions EP is the album. And I went to Bandcamp. I'll put the link below. And I think it's one of those things where I don't really understand how that works. If you can get the stuff free, or if you're, it says how much do you want to pay. And I figured $10 is fair. I mean, it's an artist, and she made the stuff, and that's about what I would pay for a CD. So I put $10 in there, downloaded the WAV file, the FLACs, and listened to it on my streamer off a thumb drive, and man, that's some fun music. So yeah, I'll put the link to the Bandcamp. I'll also put a link to the YouTube video of one of her songs and let you try that out. I'm always into finding new types of music to listen to, And I just thought that was really some interesting stuff. So hope you enjoy that. So anyway, I think that's going to wrap up the video for this week. Thanks to all you folks that sub to the channel. Thanks to you Patreon supporters. I really appreciate you, as well as you folks that make donations and send me stuff and send me emails of music to try, and just all you folks that comment the videos. I just really appreciate interacting with all you guys. It's really fun. And next year I am planning on going to several of the big audio shows, so maybe I'll see some of y'all there. We can chat in person, maybe even have lunch. Who knows? So anyway, till next week, we'll see you for the next Monday monologue.